Hey everyone, it's Carter King. If you're an educator, a leader, or just a parent who wants to teach kids about space, check out my newest book, Carter's Journey Through Space. It's available now on Amazon, Target, and bookstores everywhere. Come explore the universe with me.
Welcome to another episode of the Contagious Culture Podcast. I'm your host, Kyle King, and the goal of this podcast is simple: to help you create environments where people thrive. Through real conversations, practical strategies, and powerful stories, we equip leaders, educators, and change makers just like yourself to build cultures rooted in purpose, performance, and authenticity. Because culture isn't something you talk about, it's something you live. This is the Contagious Culture Podcast. Let's get started. Welcome to another episode of the Contagious Culture Podcast. I am your host, Kyle King, and the goal of this podcast is to help you create an ecosystem, an environment of excellence, and an environment ultimately where people can thrive. And you know what I realize? People cannot thrive in spaces where negative thinking exists. And I have somebody on here today, a good brother, good friend of mine, that is going to teach us how transforming and growing can help you ultimately not just achieve personally, but sets the foundation for you achieving in every area of your life. Dr. Dexter Shorter, how you doing, brother?
What's going on, Kyle? Thanks so much for having me, bro.
So great to see you, man. Before we get started, I just want to give you your flowers. The work that you're doing is phenomenal. Your perspective on leadership, your ability to be able to transform audiences on stages around the world, you're doing some phenomenal work. And as we get into the questions, I know there's going to be somebody that their life is transformed from your perspectives. But before we get there, I'd love to be able to just learn, who are you and what is the story that was the catalyst to where you are today?
Absolutely. Dexter Shorter, originally from Detroit, Michigan, born and raised. Um, just grew up in a very powerful family regarding, a great upbringing. My mother and my father really poured into my brothers and I, and made sure that we had a great quality of life as we were growing up. Even though back in the day, Detroit has since rebounded, but at the same time, at one point it was probably, deemed not a good place for a lot of people. However, made it through Detroit. I will never forget Detroit. I love everything about my city, and it made me into the person that I am today. So, went to Central Michigan for undergrad. Got my bachelor's of applied arts degree from there. And then I went down south to Clarksville, Tennessee. I'm a two-time graduate from Austin Peay State University, and that's about 45 minutes northwest of Nashville, Tennessee. It is located in Clarksville. And then from there, I kept moving down south. My first professional stop was at North Alabama, and then spent 2 years there. Great experience down there, hanging out with the North Alabama community. And then in 2012, God gave us an opportunity to go up to Columbus, Ohio, and spend some time at The Ohio State University. Even though I'm from Michigan, I definitely love and I value the experience that Ohio State gave me and my family. And finally graduated with my final degree from Ohio State in 2021. I am the first man to graduate from Ohio State, specifically with a Doctor of Education in higher education and student affairs. And all that came from, again, my parents just pouring into me and being around cousins who challenged me to just achieve some great things in life, and looking up to my brother and making sure my younger brothers had a role model that they can look up to and achieve some positive things. Grew up in the church all my life, and really have a biblical centered life that I try to lead, but also just really focus on my relationship with God. So, man, that's who I am. And man, I'm just excited to spend some time with you, man. And like I said, man, just thank you so much for having me a part of your platform and allowing me to share the stage with you and try to change the world one message at a time.
Man, I love that. And I love how you highlighted one message at a time, because one message can transform people in a positive way. But on the opposite end, one message could destroy cultures and destroy
Yeah.
people as well.
Hmm.
What was the moment in your life? I call it that slingshot moment where it pulled you back. It almost destroyed you. But that was the thing that started to curate and be a catalyst to the message that you're committed to sharing today.
Yeah, absolutely. I can think of a couple, to be honest with you. And my parents went through a divorce when I was 5, and I have an older brother. He's 10 years older than I am. So when he was 15, I was 5. My parents split up, and that could really take a toll on a young man, even though I didn't understand it completely at the time. However, as I continued to grow older and mature in life, I really that really kind of impacted me to a certain extent. However, my dad and my mom, their love never stopped for my brother and I. It was still just as strong as it was when they were together. And but those things kind of impact you a little bit. And now I'm definitely making sure that I am putting forth a great effort to make sure that my relationship with my wife and my 2 daughters are strong. And I can definitely fight against that spirit of separation or anything that comes against my relationship with my wife. So I think the divorce of my parents maybe was a slingshot into a space for me to think, you know what, I want to make sure that I learn from what my parents went through and use it as some fuel to keep going in my life regarding the relationship that I have with my wife and how we are being led by God. And really just having a nonstop fight against, some of the ugly things that we're seeing in this world regarding, marriages and things like that. The second thing is, I remember having to boil water to take a bath when I was younger one time.
Ooh.
And it wasn't anything of my parents' fault or my mom's fault or anything like that. We were having a unique living situation, but I'll never forget that moment. And even though I might not have been thinking about it at the time, but now that I'm a grown man, I am literally on a mission to never have my girls experience anything like that. It made me who I am. Work ethic and hard work is in my blood, from my grandfather all the way down to, again, maybe even my youngest cousin. That's what we do within the Shorter family. And again, I am on a mission to work hard to make sure that my girls and my family have a quality of life that I dreamed of when I was younger. So those are the two situations that I can remember and recall very vividly, that is, again, just creating this person, or has created this person that you see in front of you today, that is on fire to maximize my life and make sure that someone else's life is okay as well.
I really appreciate your vulnerability. I believe there's velocity in vulnerability. And I think in a lot of the podcasts that I listen to, or spaces, especially professional spaces, authentic engagement is important. And when we
Yeah.
share stories like that, when I hear stories like that, um, it did something to me inside. And I think I really just want to just give you that for a minute and
Mm.
recognize what you've been able to um, cross over and the barriers that you've been able to beat. And I just want to say thank you for that. And you are continuing to be the embodiment of what I believe your daughters need to see. So thank you for your continuous
Mm.
commitment as well. For that man or woman that is listening in, that is going through a challenging time in their relationship, is going through potentially that separation, or maybe in our current economic state, is bathing in that boiling water. What is your message to them that can help them be built in a season where they feel so broken?
The word that came to mind as you were forming and completing that question is hope. I believe as long as there is breath in our body and there is blood running warm in our veins, there is hope for our lives. And again, with me having a strong relationship with our Heavenly Father, in Hosea it says, my people are destroyed because of the lack of knowledge. And destroyed doesn't necessarily mean that you're dying or you're about to implode or explode. It could mean that you're just stuck in a situation, or you may be experiencing immobility or a sense of paralysis, if you will, in your life. So I would say, seek to gain the knowledge that is needed, or the experience, or the resources that are needed to get you through that situation. And then, since again, I am more so centered on within my speeches and my talks, the power of positive thinking. Again, the Bible says, be ye transformed by the renewing of your mind. One change of thought can change your life. That, I mean, it's literally just that simple. And once you start thinking differently, then you're giving yourself and you're empowering yourself to change your life for it to be different. I remember sitting in multiple offices, or sitting in front of different people, or even sitting alone. And I just remember making only a certain amount of money. And that's all I thought was, that was possible for me, because I'm from Detroit, and maybe that's all I saw to a certain extent. But once I changed my thoughts, once I started to think wealthy thoughts, and just breaking generational curses, that's when my life started to change. So seek the knowledge, get the help that you need in order for you to continue to live that more abundant life that it says in John 10:10. But also, again, you can renew your mind or change your life by just thinking differently, one thought at a time. If you want a healthier relationship with someone, start thinking health and relationship related thoughts. If you want to, again, just have a better relationship with anything in life, as long as you put your mind to it and start thinking in a way that is in alignment with in the direction that you want to go, I believe that your life can change. So I think just seeking out those resources, gaining the knowledge that you need to move forward, but also just making sure that you're doing your part and changing your mindset, because your mindset matters so much.
I really am thankful that you said it in that way. I truly believe that your mind is the most powerful tool that we have. And I think limits only exist in our minds, because if there's somebody out there that's made it possible, that means that we have the capability, the capacity, and the ability to be able to make it happen as well. One thing that I wrote down as you were, expanding on your point is don't believe the lie. But then I crossed out lie and I put don't believe the liability, because when we think thoughts that do not push us forward, whether relationally, whether financially, whether economically, then it doesn't allow us to be able to see that area in a place of hope, like you explained earlier. It reminds me of a quote that I heard, that to expose yourself to excellence and you'll become it. Expose yourself to excellence and you will become it.
That's
When
good.
you think of the art and the power of positive thinking, especially with leaders and organizational leaders, change makers, and the various audience that are going to be listening to this message, where do they start? Let's say that person isn't religious. Let's say that person doesn't even know where to start. Where would you say the first step for them to take to begin to start seeing things more positively and optimistic in a sense?
Yeah. The first thing that comes to mind is basically, I would say, start with the end in mind. And once you understand the direction or where you're trying to go, then you can backpedal, if you will, and create action steps to make your way toward that goal. So whatever your vision is for your life, I think we all grew up playing, all sorts of fairy tale games, or imagining ourselves, very successful. Everyone where I grew up, they wanted to be an NBA player or NFL player, NFL star, right? So we literally was daydreaming about that type of goal. And then we started creating action steps for that. We joined the little league team, or maybe we played across the street from grandma's house at the playground in order to develop the skills and the wherewithal to chase after my ultimate goal. And then we went to high school and we tried to join the football team. Some of us may have went to college and do the same thing. So, I mean, we have been practicing these things since we were little kids. So therefore, why don't we just revert back to what we were thinking? Literally, it was limitless. The sky was the limit when we were little kids. We grew up thinking that we were going to have this house and this car. No one grows up, at least I didn't grow up thinking that I was going to live beneath where I was supposed to be, or live driving around a hoopty. And no, I didn't believe that. I thought my dream car was whatever it was, type of thing. So why not continue to allow that to be at play by, again, starting with the end in mind and just creating these habits? And I know you are a expert in regards to the habits of excellence, and I've heard you say that. So just to create these habits and habit stack in order to continue to progress toward what you want to see in life. So it's just all about just visioning and just imagining yourself at the best spot in your life and just working toward it. And, just putting one foot in front of the other and knocking it down and walking it down one day at a time.
It's interesting that you say that. And I think one of the habits of excellence that I always talk about is, again, limits are only on your mind.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember growing up, my father used to always say that you could do anything that you want to do if you put your mind to it. Like, you could be anything that you want to be.
Mm-hmm.
And I love when you were talking about, like, when we were kids, we really just thought we could do anything. And it reminds me of a song that's out right now by Dante Bowie. It's a gospel song, and it's Kid Again. And the first few lines is, I used to be Superman. Yeah, I could do anything. My father's car was a limousine. The card box was a time machine. Yeah, those were the days, running fast on the playground. I ruled the world from my treehouse.
That's good.
I guess my question in all of that, when did we stop dreaming? Like, when did we stop imagining? When did we stop feeling like we could touch the sky from a trampoline, that we could still go high, that we could rule the world? These kid-like dreams, these kid-like imaginations that we had, our thoughts, our perspective shifted. And then we started believing in the lie or the liability that we have in the world today. Those people that stopped believing, what would you say to those individuals?
Yeah. The biggest thing that I would say is make sure that you are continuing to be the most active participant in your own progression. And here's what I mean by that. Like you asked, the center of the question was, when did we stop dreaming? And I think that includes maybe once we experience that first no or first setback, or when we begin to listen to others and allow them to give us things that don't really fit us. It's their things is not the things that we or their thoughts really don't fit what we're looking for out of our lives. So I think those two things happen, and it kind of allows us to, unfortunately, condition ourselves to maybe operate in the area of unbelief. That's never going to happen. Or that's a far reach, Dex. Or, man, you come from Detroit. No one from Detroit does that. So what we have to do is really, again, just have a vision of what we want our lives to look like. And I'm reminded of a story that my oldest uncle on my mom's side, he used to have an addiction to drugs and alcohol. He gave me permission to tell this story a long time ago, no matter where I am. But at the same time, and he struggled with it for a long time, until one day he thought, I don't want to do this anymore. It was literally went from concept to concrete, because he started thinking about it. He wanted his life to be different. He wanted his daughter to have, a sober father, or a father that was different than the one that he was behaving as at the time. So again, I just think that it's so powerful how our thoughts can be directly connected to who we are and what we can achieve in life. Again, but the thing is, the stop dreaming part is, I think, once we start listening to other people and allowing others' thoughts to feed us. And I think that is a very unfortunate and dangerous situation to be in. Or once we perseverate or start thinking about a lot about that one setback that really knocked us down, we got to get back up. We got to get back up and really keep going, right? Because I know, again, I reference the Bible a lot. John 10:10, it says, the thief comes to steal, kill, and destroy. You got to understand that. But Jesus said, I've come and I've come that you might have life and that you might have abundantly. The might piece is you got to go after, you have some responsibility. It ain't guaranteed. You really got to get up and start moving.
If I answered that and said, I don't believe it, I don't believe that there can be more for me. I don't believe that I am destined for greatness. I don't believe that there's more out there for me. You know, my circumstances have determined where I'm going to end up in life. How would you answer that?
I would say your next opportunity or your next blessing, your next breakthrough is based on your ability to believe. And I would say, if you don't believe it, what is the harm in basically trying it out one time, just to really see exactly how that might create a difference in your life? So, I would more so just have the answer to be that simple. And just to really think about all of the successful people that might be around them, and prompt them to ask them about their experiences in regards to their mindset and what they're doing in their routine in order to keep and maintain their success in life. So I think everything starts with thought. And again, depending on what you're looking for, the Bible says, ask and it shall be given. Seek, the seek part, and you shall find. So whatever you're looking for, whether it's positive or negative, is going to materialize. 100%. So that's the way that we want to operate. Again, that's why there's fruition, or or there's freedom, I should say, within the relationships that we have with each other, and also whatever spirituality that people practice. But it says, "Seek and you shall find." So whether it's positive or negative, that's what you're going to find in life. So I would just challenge them to recalibrate their thoughts, and really just try to go after that life that hopefully is available to them in regards to just being a little bit better and achieving what they want to achieve in life.
I think what's helped me is that I've always had examples around me. I've always had a great community. And to be very honest, I've always believed, I think that I have. Hey, it's Kyle. Sorry to interrupt your programming, but I got a quick culture check for you. How's your team's energy right now? I mean, literally, right now. Are people feeling inspired? Or are they just showing up? See, here's the truth. Culture doesn't change because we talk about it. It changes because we live it actively every single day. And that's what I help organizations do. Build contagious cultures that people actually want to be a part of. Through keynote talks, interactive trainings, and hands-on consulting, I help leaders transform the way their teams connect, perform, and grow. So if your culture needs a little bit of spark, let's light it up together. Visit theculturelab.org, again, theculturelab.org, or connect with me directly on LinkedIn at Kyle S. King to learn more about how we can work together. Because remember, your culture is contagious. Make it worth catching. Now let's get back to the program. Relentless belief. And, we all go through our circumstances and our situations and our challenges within our lives. But what I believe has helped me is I've always believed, even in the worst of circumstances, that it will get better. But for that person that didn't have that community, they didn't have those parents, they didn't have that leadership, they didn't have that example, they weren't exposed to better. What would be your message to them to start actually believing? Like, what do I do on a day-to-day basis? Because, I believe it's a mindset, but then there has to be activity on the other side that you commit to on a day-to-day basis. So could you either share some of the activities that are keeping you focused and powerful in mind? Or could you tell me what are the things that people should be doing on a day-to-day basis, leaders should be doing on a day-to-day basis to ensure that their mindset cup is filled with the right things and not pouring out negatively into the people that they're called to serve?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, those who want to start, at the base level, I think really just making sure that you are talking to yourself in a very positive way or in a very uplifting way. I know we have always heard, the words of affirmation, and we are always probably lending them out to a lot of different people, from me to them for the most part. But I believe one of the most important conversations is going to be with yourself. Typically, we used to say, people who are talking to themselves, there might be something wrong with them. But no, I think that is completely fine and definitely necessary regarding talking to yourself. Like, what's going on in your inner thoughts and your inner person, so you can make sure that you, again, are continuing to be the most active participant in your own progression. So I think daily positive affirmations, waking up in the morning and really just speaking life into yourself, is going to be very important. I think that, looking to success leaves crumbs, for the most part. So this is not something that you have to do on your own or reinvent the wheel. So look at those who are modeling the life that you want to live. What are they doing? Are they reading? Are they exercising? Are they feeding themselves well in regards to a healthy relationship with their diet? Are they just being outrageously generous with their time and volunteering and learning from various forums and things like that? So look at those who are doing the work or living the life, that you are going after, and really trying to learn from them and their successes and mistakes or failures, and really allow that to be applied to what you're trying to do. So, and like you said, man, just build that community. However you can, have maybe that one person or two people that could really build you up, but also give you some very crucial advice or feedback in regards to how you're showing up and what you're doing. I feel like that's going to be crucial as well. So those are the three things that I would say you could start with. Really talking to yourself. A lot of the books that I've read within the last couple of years is literally ask us to do a reflection check. What do we look like? What are our values? How can we align ourselves with the things that mean a lot to us? And then again, just reading books, and then also just looking at the people who are living the life that you desire, and seeing exactly what you could, just mirror in your life that fits in a way that will allow you to achieve your goals in the form or in the fashion that fits you.
I was having a conversation with someone a little bit earlier, and she communicated that success, as well as in leadership, is all about congruency and alignment. That my words and that my actions are in complete alignment. And she went down and she was talking about this workshop that she did. And she asked the question of, if I was to say a fast food restaurant that has the best possible customer experience or customer service, who would you say? And then the audience said together, Chick-fil-A, of course.
Yeah.
And she asked the question after, she was like, well, when I see your brand, what would people say about you? And is it congruent to actually what you would want to be known for? So the question that I have for you is, how do you want to be remembered? And what are the actions, the habits, and the daily practices that you commit to so that you can ensure that you are congruent with how people see you, as well as who you desire to be?
I want to be remembered as someone who always tried to show love, respect people, let my light shine in order for others to also be successful. And, like my mission is to help people maximize their lives. Because I remember growing up and having some very pivotal moments in my life, or crucial moments in my life. And if I'm being honest with you, Kyle, I'd never want to go back to those moments again. Whether it's being, financially strapped, or, again, the boiling water. I remember being suspended for school for, lack of tuition and all that type of stuff. Like, all those type of things, I am literally on a mission to fight against, for the most part. So I want to, again, allow others, based on my experiences and the stories that I've heard in my family, I want to just send messages of hope that there is more to life than what we are living if you are feeling hopeless. I want to be remembered as someone who is a person who is literally on a mission to help someone help themselves. How can we get to the things that allow us to experience the success that we are desiring in our lives? So like that's my thing, and all the center. This is the center of all of that is a family man as well. I want my girls to really understand that their dad worked hard to make sure that they had the life that even he dreamed of, and also that they are dreaming of. Whether that's just spending time with them all over the place in regards to other countries or within our country and things like that. So definitely centered on the family as well. But in regards to externally, my message is just hope. I really want people to understand when Dr. Dexter Shorter is talking to you, he is letting you know that if he could overcome these things, that you can too.
And I think that's so powerful because there's so much power in our stories. And I believe oftentimes those hardships drive us to continue to fight, but not just continue to fight for ourselves, continue to fight for other people so that they don't have to experience the same things that we're experiencing. Somebody listening, you got to use your story.
Yeah.
You have to share your testimony. You have to share how you've overcome those challenges, how you've beat those hurdles, how you were resilient, how you prevailed, and that perseverance that you possess on a
Mm-hmm.
daily basis that have helped you be able to get to the position that you are in today, whether personally or professionally.
Yeah.
A question for you is, when you think about the transform, grow, and achieve model that you've developed and designed,
Mm-hmm.
can you tell us more about that and why that model is so important?
Yeah, I think that within our country there is a lot of struggle. I looked up some numbers regarding some of um, the financial numbers in our country. There's a high percentage, I believe, it's like 70% of Americans don't even have access to $5,000, and that bothers me quite a bit. And again, I don't know exactly what's going on in their lives, but at the same time, like, I just want people to know that whatever life that they are, again, envisioning for themselves, or whatever life that they dreamed of, they can go after it. So I believe if once we win in our mind first, then the rest will follow. And that's where the word transform intentionally is first in that motto. Again, once we start thinking differently, then I believe that our lives has the ability to be different. Our beliefs will rise up to our thoughts, and then things will start to materialize regarding the success that we want to see in our lives. And then we grow, right? We continue to evolve. There's a lot of things in our lives that require updating. Our computers, our cars need tune-ups, they need oil changes. We are machines as well to a certain extent, and we need to upgrade ourselves to make sure that we are continuing to renew our mind and growing in a way that fits what we're looking for in our lives, in order to, again, achieve that success. And then the final thing is just achievement. How can we allow those things that we are transforming in our mind first, again, to go from concept to concrete? How can we, and you and I know a guy in common. He says, "Speak what you seek until you see what you said." Again, that's those thoughts are going to come out of your mouth, and then what you said, hopefully, you will see it in a natural form, in regards to that achievement word. So that's the motto. I believe once we start to win in our mind first, continue to grow, then we will start to achieve or experience the things that our minds continue to think about. So again, the direction in which you're heading is directly connected to the way in which you're thinking. So that's where that model comes from, and I believe it's principle centered, and it has been working for me for the last couple of years of my life.
It's interesting. I love hearing people's concepts, because I think about all of the acronyms that I've written down, or the concepts, or even speaking engagements that I've given. There's always a story behind the concept. And there's always this moment or this realization where you wrote down those words or you were like, oh, it really clicked for you. Could you tell us about the story that led to you writing down or implementing like the transform, grow, achieve model?
Absolutely. Yeah. One day I was sitting in Columbus. It was in my office.
Hey, I know you're enjoying the episode, but I want to ask you a quick question. I promise, just a quick question. If you could stop chasing dollars and start building a fundraising system that actually works, would you do it? That's what the NP Accelerator is all about. In 12 weeks, we help nonprofit leaders just like yourself strategize, secure, and scale with tools, coaching, and accountability that actually moves the needle forward. No more guesswork, no more burnout, just a clear path to grow your impact and your income. Spots are limited and your mission can no longer wait. Check the show notes, click the link, and book a discovery call with our team right now. Hey, let's get back to the episode. You will not want to miss.
And I spent 7 years at Ohio State. No knock to the Buckeyes, but I spent 7 years in an entry-level position. And so this is recently. And I was sitting in my office and I was just kind of looking out the door and I just saw people continue to walk by me. And, I was like, man, why aren't they stopping and asking me about this? And they're not asking me about my goals or what I want to do in my life. And then a thought just came into my head. I've said it on this podcast before. I just want to say it again until people think it or it continues to resonate with people. I had to learn how to be the most active participant in my own progression. I cannot depend on anyone else to finance, to make action steps toward anything that I want to see in life. That is my responsibility. I own that. So I begin to empower myself, Kyle. And that was literally the pivotal moment. I remember talking to my brother-in-law and I told him, I was like, man, I'm scared to make a lot of money. And he said, so why are you going to school? What else? Why are you praying so hard then? And that was a pivotal moment as well. He challenged me in regards to the things that I was doing, and it didn't align, or how I was thinking, and it didn't align with what I was doing, and basically my relationship with God. So that was a pivotal moment, and from there, I got back into school. For my fourth and final degree in 2017, and I worked. And I continued to go through a 4-year training. That's what I'm calling it in regards to the doctorate, in order to position myself for an opportunities that I am experiencing at this time. So again, being able to speak across the nation and just change lives at the beginning stages of, again, writing the book. Being a higher education professional for the past 15 years. And I was blessed enough to receive some awards in my career for recognition of my hard work. So I really just got up and just started to move in a way that I was basically allowing my beliefs or my thoughts to materialize. I just kept working towards them. And that was the pivotal moment, or one of the pivotal moments in my life. And when I noticed a change, and it all started because I started to think differently, because I was in a funk. I really was. I was 9 years into my career, still in an entry-level position, and just really just looking around, wondering why. And then all of a sudden I just started to change, like, all right, but how? How can I go after what I'm looking for versus why am I not to the place where I want to be right now? So I just really flipped it and I just started thinking differently. And once I started doing that, I transformed. Then I started to grow literally and figuratively in regards to, again, just positioning myself and getting different credentials and different experiences, volunteering my time and working within the blank space of my career, meeting different people. And then that's when the achievement came. I came to where I am now regarding my profession. I skipped a step. God blessed me to skip a step. I went from coordinator. And then once I left that Ohio State, I went to my boss's boss position because I literally started thinking differently. Everything else before that was stage fright. Oh, I'm scared to make a lot of money. I'm scared to do this. I'm scared. Like, that was just stage fright. Come on, change your mindset. And then basically you will be able to get to where you want to be and God will allow you to experience some success at a faster pace than I ever even thought. So that's kind of the story behind it regarding the pivotal moment from that motto that I choose to live by every day.
I really appreciate you, man. You have no idea how this is feeding me. And this, I love podcasting. I love having these conversations because every time I do, first I have 3 pages of notes over here and I'm scribbling. It's all over the place. I think post-production is always fun because then it's kind of like, all right, all these notes, how do you actually apply it and practice on your day-to-day basis? And one of the things that I wrote down and circled is, and I guess this is a question for our audience and even a question for me, why are you doing it if it's not going to be great? It's like, why are you praying every day and waking up, reading your Bible and doing all of the different things that you need to do if it's not going to be great and if you're not going to do it right? And I think about that even in relationally, and I appreciate how you were determined to be a great husband and a great father and a different role model based upon what you've seen in your community. Because I even think that too. And I think this is the tough conversation that we have to have as men is like, why are you dating and doing all of these different things if you're not going to do the right thing when you're tempted or when you're your ego and your pride, whether it's relationally or in any aspect of your life. So for that person that falls short, for that person that lacks discipline in all times, for that person that is doing the work but isn't always committed to seeing the thing through, what would you say to that person and how would you continue to encourage them to keep going, keep fighting, and to stay hopeful that things are going to continue to turn around?
Man, you said a word that is very important, and I do think it really centers around discipline. However, I do think that life is an equation and there's layers to it. I think find a way to find joy and enthusiasm. Obviously, you could, the discipline is more maybe connected to commitment level and then also being consistent. Right. So there's a lot of things in life that, if we have that approach, I think that things will work out well, whether that's exercising. I know why people don't work out, Kyle, because it stinks. It hurts,
Oh,
man. You know what I mean? But if we approach it with, yes, but if we approach that with enthusiasm, discipline, and commitment, no matter how we're feeling or no matter what's going on in our lives, then I think we would definitely see the results in which we're dreaming of or which we're looking for. So like the things can happen, but at the same time, you have to stay within, stay committed. You signed that contract with yourself and don't break it. I heard Kobe say that, rest his soul. He signed a contract with himself and he refused to break the contract. So do all you can to continue on, or in Atomic Habits, if you do skip one day, don't skip it twice. Don't skip 2 days in a row. Maybe you can give yourself a little rest, but at the same time, really try to get back on track to make some things happen. And I think the people that you surround yourself with is very important too. I got a friend, his name is Calvin, and we call each other every morning, and that's my guy. And we challenge each other all the time. And we create space for accountability in our lives. So from the months of July to probably October, we try to run at least 1 mile every day. The max that we ran probably every day or a couple of days was like 5 miles. And I'm saying this because when you have someone that you are, again, you're giving an account to, like that allows you to stay committed to these goals and things like that, and allow that hope to continue on. And you can kind of be motivated by their words of, you got this, come on, we got it. I know we tired, but we can do it, type of thing. No matter what it is, whether it's writing a book, going after another degree, attacking your exercise goals, whatever it is, again, that commitment, enthusiasm, that discipline, and allowing community to your village to go on the journey with you. I think that is very important to stay on track, and really contributes to allowing you to achieve those goals. Michael Jordan didn't win all those championships by himself. I mean, I really don't know many people that really achieve greatness by themselves. So
Yeah.
that leads me to say and believe that life is a team sport. Who's on your team? Who's training you? Who's pushing you toward greatness? So just kind of being mindful of those things. But that discipline, that's the center of it. I really do believe that. I really do believe that that discipline is really, but it's layered. It's an equation, because this is the thing. Here's the equation: 9 times 0 is what? 0. You got to have something else in there to fit in order for you to like this. We need to evolve things in regards to our ways of thinking. So, yeah, have something else fit into that equation in order for you to experience the most success out of your goals and your highest aspirations.
I heard once that success is like a bank. I heard this actually in a program that I'm getting ready to complete on my end. And it's the success bank. It's, what are we depositing? If you open up an account, you have to give a deposit to open up the account.
Mm-hmm.
And the reality of it is that if you don't do anything else with that account, there's going to be tiny, tiny interest that can potentially grow that account, right?
Mm-hmm.
Over a period of time. And that's where that first deposit or that first action or that first commitment comes in. But the more that you deposit, the higher the value of that account gets.
Mm-hmm.
The problem is that those liabilities, those lack of commitments, those mistakes, those decisions that don't align with where you're going, those decisions that aren't congruent to the purpose, to the vision, to the brand that you want to build, they then create withdrawals.
Mm.
I think that a lot of times in life, we're depleted because our bank account is overdrawn.
That's
Because
good.
we're not allowing other people to invest in this account because we're not giving them access to the routing and the account number.
Mm-hmm.
So for me, I'm always thinking about, all right, if I have a withdrawal that costs a lot,
Mm-hmm.
now it requires me to deposit even more to cover the balance of the negative in my account. And
Mm-hmm.
anybody listening, if you want something, if you want to be able to be more valuable, if you want to buy that thing, you have to be able to deposit more than what's being withdrawn from that account.
That's good.
And everything that you're saying, it requires first a transformation of our mind. Once we commit to that transformation, then we go through this growth journey, this consistency, this commitment. And then that allows us to begin to achieve wins and achieve success and achieve opportunities that allow us to be able to sow in and seed other people within our lives.
Mm-hmm.
If you had 60 seconds to share a message with our audience that encapsulates the transform, grow, achieve mindset, what would you say?
Mm-hmm. I think that the biggest thing, I just want people to know that anything is achievable and everything is attainable. The only limits that are in life are the limits that we put on ourselves. And those limits typically come from our mental state. So once we begin to think differently, then I believe that we begin to break the limits off and really just open up a sea of opportunities and empower ourselves to really go after the life that we have always thought about or dreamed of ever since we were younger people. So I leave with this. If we want to see a difference in our lives, if we want to make changes in our lives, the first place that I believe that we need to start is in our minds. We need to make sure that we are experiencing success in our minds. What's our vision for our lives or for the situation, and then create action steps from there. And I really want people to believe that no matter where we are, more is possible and more is on the way.
Brother, I really appreciate you sharing. I really appreciate your presence, your present-centered leadership, your heart for change, but then your congruency and how you're showing up, not just as a leader, not just as a speaker, not just as a business owner, but as a father, as a husband, and as a believer that is embodying the principles that we see when we read scripture. Anybody listening, where can they find you, and how can we continue to support your mission as well?
Yeah, I invite people to come check me out on my website, drdextershorter.com. I would love to connect with people on LinkedIn. My LinkedIn name is Dexter Shorter, comma ED dot D, Dexter Shorter EDD. I'm Dr. Dexter Shorter on Instagram, and then on Facebook, I'm Dex Shorter. So love to be connected to people. You can email me if you want. My professional email address is dexter@drdextershorter.com. I would love to hear from anyone who is really on a mission to have their lives change or just want to connect with me. I love meeting people. I'm relationship centered. So I would love to see how I can help out and partner with people who are wanting a little bit more out of life.
Man, I appreciate you so much. And in our audience, I want you to ask yourself one question. What's my vision? And what are the actions? What are the commitments? What are the specific disciplines? What is the mindset that I need to embody in order for me to be able to get to a point where my vision becomes a reality? How can I transform some perspectives, some places, some people in my life so that I can be committed to growth, so that I can be able to meet the expectations that I'm trying to achieve? Thank you for listening to another episode of the Contagious Culture Podcast. Before we end, there's always a question that I want to leave you with. What type of culture am I spreading? The energy you bring is the culture you create. Make yours worth catching. Thanks for tuning in to the Contagious Culture Podcast. If this episode challenged or inspired you, hey, take a second to share it with someone who's building culture in their world. Make sure to like, subscribe, and leave a review. It helps more leaders, educators, and change makers just like yourself join the movement. You can connect with me on LinkedIn or YouTube at Kyle S. King for more tips, tools, and methodologies to be able to help you create this ecosystem of absolute excellence. Until next time, lead boldly, live intentionally, and remember, your culture is contagious. Make it worth catching.